Okay, so if you were paying attention, you notice somehow I changed between the beginning of the video, then the drawing, and then now. And that's because I actually forgot to record the post drawing monologue last time I was drawing. So this is actually the next day, and I'm actually drawing again. Um, the same thing, but I'm gonna do the post. I'm doing the post monologue now, but this is actually gonna be the same as the pre-monologue for the next video. So I'm just gonna, if you're following along super dedicated to the series, you'll see this clip twice. But I imagine that people are kind of skipping around, and I don't know. I don't think it's going to be too big of a deal, so I'm not super worried about it. We'll just reuse this clip twice. So if you're seeing it again, you can skip forward to the actual drawing. But if you're seeing it for the first time, then let's get into it. So I finished this drawing session, and I'm kind of trying to remember the emotions that I had, but I think I was like feeling pretty comfortable with the drawing. There's still like a few drawing mistakes and drawing errors that I can't seem to get rid of. I think they're kind of centering around her left eye, so the eye that would be on the right side. And so I'm going to start today by working on that. Unfortunately, at this point, I've already started to work on the tone. Like I've already started putting in tone. That is like putting in shading, like working outside of just line. And so because I've already started to do that, it becomes harder and harder to change your drawing. Like the more you start to erase, the more things are changed. Like if you have tone everywhere and you erase a section and then you just put line in first to like see if it looks right, it will look a little strange because it needs the tone. So fixing drawing errors this late into the drawing is not ideal, like something you want to try and avoid. Like that's kind of the point of spending so much time on the 2D construction and the 3D construction. So in a perfect world, that phase would already be done. Now, in practice, like most of the time, even artists at very high levels are making adjustments to the drawing throughout the whole process. Like nobody's really getting it 100% right on the block-in stage. It happens, for sure it happens. I think one artist that's really good at that, social media artist, is Stephen Bauman. If you followed him at all, he even has something that he calls like the block-in boot camp, which I haven't seen the whole thing. I've seen the free content. It's like a paid content. I've seen the free stuff, and it's really good. Like he's super methodical, like really deliberate, really patient. Um, so I think like he really strives to get it 100% right, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's been times in his life when he has. But I think generally artists, especially as you're getting into painting, if you're doing like alla prima painting and these things, you also have to be comfortable making adjustments at any stage. And ideally, there adjustments you have to make are like on the smaller side, like not redrawing an entire eye, like I might have to do today. I don't know. I'm gonna have to like work it a little bit and see what happens. Um, but it's kind of an inevitability of the process. Um, that as you're adding things, you're kind of making changes, and then you're looking at things again and reevaluating and trying to understand these things. So, I do want to say like it's still good, I think, to strive for having as accurate a 3D construction as you possibly can. And in retrospect, I maybe should have actually spent a little bit more time. I know I spent like 2 days doing it, and I felt like I put the right amount of time. But when I was checking it, I probably should have spent more time checking. Like the drawing was very patient, but I could have done the whole, just sat down for 20 minutes and done like flip the image different ways, like I've been talking about. One thing you can actually do that's kind of nice is you can take a picture of your drawing, take the reference image, and download any kind of like app on your phone that allows for like photo layers, or send it to your computer and bring it into like Photoshop or something. But anything that allows you to do layers. Actually, you could even print it out on like light paper that's like, hold it up to a light. But the idea is you stack your drawing on top of the reference and start to see where the mistakes are. Now, you don't want to get into tracing unless that's the kind of art you want to do. But the problem with tracing is it's not really transferable. Like you won't be able to draw from life or draw on the fly if you're doing tracing. So that's generally why people kind of stay away from it. So anyway, all that is to say, I kind of have some regrets about not checking the block in and the 3D construction a bit more to make sure everything was in proportion. But also, that being said, here's where we are, and it's good to be flexible and good to be able to, like, for me, it's good to be able to make these adjustments because especially when you're painting and you're moving paint around and you have a big wide brush, it's very likely that your construction gets kind of shifted and moved and things like that. So it's not unreasonable to think about like redrawing things halfway through or like moving even kind of like big pieces of the painting. So anyway, that's what I'm going to kind of think about, um, and that's what I'm going to start with. So I guess let's see how it goes. Let's see what happens. I'm excited to draw though, so that's like optimistic, I guess. Okay, so I just did about another hour and a half or so into this drawing. Um, hmm, it's difficult to say, to understand how I feel or what I want to say. Um, I mean, I think there's like a part of art that's like inherently frustrating. Like, yeah, there's just pieces of it that are just inherently frustrating where you're trying and trying and trying and trying and trying and you know how you want it to look in your mind and you just can't get it to look, it just somehow doesn't have that feeling on the paper. Um, and unfortunately, I'm like feeling that a lot with this drawing, I would say. Like, I think there's nice aspects about it, but I've been fighting a lot with that her left eye. Um, there's some weird things on her left side of the face that I don't really care for. Um, I don't know. I think I need some time before I do this. Like, there's just this. Yeah, I think this is like just one of these like moments of inherent frustration in art where you're just struggling and fighting and fighting and fighting and sometimes, I just put an hour and a half into this and I'm not sure that doing another hour, I do kind of have the time, but I'm not sure that even doing another hour would get me to where I want to be. I think there's like some drawing mistakes that are in there. Uh, I think I can't get this her left eye to fit right for some reason, and it could be because other things are off. Like the nose might be more off than I realize. Um, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It's yeah, probably you can sense it right now. I'm super conflicted and overall unhappy for sure. Overall unhappy with how it came out. But this is life. This is the artistic process, unfortunately. You do so much more bad art than you do good art. And I think that's true for people of all levels. Like you're striving for something that you almost can never reach it, I think, is part of it. And even as you're like leveling up, like you can take this and compare this to drawings that maybe I did a year ago or 2 years ago. Um, well, frankly, I don't know if this is actually even better than drawings I did 2 years ago. So I think like there's that's a piece of it too. Like I'm wondering why all this like past weeks of practice didn't really translate that well into the final drawing. Especially because I felt like in each of the pieces as I was leading up to this, they were represented well. Um, so, but I mean, there's only one way forward in this, and that's to do more drawings. Like, you have to make the bad art. You have to get it out of your system. Like, it exists in you, and the only way through it is to continue going. Um, and I'm not saying that like everything about it is bad. Like, I can find good things. In fact, I'm looking at it right now, and like the the whole her right side of the face, so like the left side of the drawing, actually I think came out quite nice. I think there's some nice line work. I think the values are nice. I think things are like really in proportion. And I really just kind of lost it onto the other side of that center line, like the right side of the drawing or what would be the left side of her face. And I think it's really the eye that's really messing things up a little bit. Um, but I'm going to put this away and maybe I'll come back to it either in the next session or like down the line or something like that and see if we can understand it or fix it. I might do a full critique of like, I should probably like uh, take a picture of this and do the drawing of the Loomis head over it and draw the structure and try and understand structurally like what the issue is with this eye. Um, and things like that. But let's see. It's gonna take. This is it's one of many, right? Like this is drawing number 568 of 1,000, 10,000 drawings that I'll do in my life. Uh, so you struggle with it for a little bit and then kind of move on. So I think this is like pretty raw, actually. Probably my reaction after this session. And I'm gonna leave it like that. And I think it's good to see that this is like this is why I think self-doubt is so prevalent in artists and musicians and creatives in general, is like on sessions where you think there's like, I've heard it said like this, there's like a disconnect at some point between your taste in art, like what you subjectively or objectively to yourself, so like very, very subjectively know like what you like and what you don't like, and your art might not be at those standards of what you like and you don't like. And there's like this gap that you're trying to close, like you're trying to get it up to a standard that you like. And this is a painful, painful period, and probably why most artists stop, or why most people stop making art, or this is like kind of the thing that maybe drives some artists insane. But this is like something that you have to go through. Like there's only one way through, and that's forward. So we'll revisit this. This is kind of such a process, and let's see if when I wake up tomorrow or the next day, I have new. I was very optimistic when I started the session, and now I'm like more pessimistic. But let's see. Like these things vary from day to day. Like the only thing that you can trust is the process of just continuing to do these things. So I guess we'll talk again the next time I record. I might take, since I'm really only uploading on the weekdays, I might take a weekend day or two off. Let's see how that goes though. But until next time.